gonna try this again because I went over 5 minutes. I'm answering questions 4 and 10. Um, what is a myth? A myth is an explanation. It's how people did science before science. It's the reason it gives them purpose. It answers the why we're here. Why does this do that? Why does that do that? Before we could actually study it, it was the whole reason they knew anything at all. It's connected to history because it's the basis for a lot of stories, a lot of religion, a lot of rituals, and before we actually knew anything, it's a good way to see where the mind goes whenever you think about that kind of stuff. Anyway, um, they it plays a role in how history is shared because the transfer of information, the storytelling, the writing of things down, right? Like people need to know this. This is important. This is how, like, I'm finding solace in this. I need other people to find solace in this same thing. An origin myth is a myth that explains how the world was created, right? It explains why there are stars, why there are plants, why there are animals, why do people do this, right? It gives an explanation for how the Earth just became. Um, they're important to understanding the development of cultures because most origin myths eventually make it to some form of religion, some form of explanation, either mono or polytheistic, and allow for just understanding, explanation, right? And they do these as the things that caused this, happened, this made this happen, blah blah blah, because it was important to them to know just that feeling of needing to know what was happening, you know. Gender factored into it in that women, the whenever you have a women god, it's normally a creator of people, right? There's that fertility, that protector, right? The mothers of these people, Earth Mother. Um, gender, um, the kinds of sources that origin stories are based on oral stories passed down, religious texts, some historical records and legends, anything that was written down at the time, that's how it's transferred. Um, it depends. Viewing something as objective is hard to do whenever you are in the middle of it. And I think before we had that whole scientific explanation of everything happening, there really was no way to be objective because you only had one. You always have the one objective person in this subjectivity of we need this. So if that view comes in, they're going to battle it because that's what they believe and that's what they're holding on to. People need that. So I think eventually it did become more objective view as soon as you learned about the other origin stories and the other ways that people thought about how things became. But at the beginning, it was really hard to be that way. Um, the role of gender in Paleolithic and Neolithic eras seems to center around fertility, is what I'm seeing. Fertility in the Venus figurines, the first images of the human body. And they range from um, what 500,000 BCE to 25, 23, 25,000 BCE. Um, it found in Morocco, in India, um, all over. There's these figurines of the human body that are women, and the conclusion can be drawn that that's how they decided that whenever you need somebody to give birth, you're gonna pray to your God about it. You're gonna be like, hey, can this happen? Right? So you need something to pray to. You need that little figurine. Um, there was a gendering of objects found. The horizontal stones being female, the standing being male. It just for a very long time. There's always the definition between the two. There's always these two sections of people, the male and the female, and that division continuing was very defined for them, even in prehistoric times, even before we knew anything about it. So